You saw the highs, now see the lows. I'm John Ritlin with some real honest thoughts on the AEW product year one, the lows. Yeah, this one's going to get a little bit angry, and here's why it's going to get a little bit angry, because for all the good stuff that AEW's done, and they have done quite a bit, if you have not checked out the highs video, please check that out, as I feel that I did a pretty good job highlighting at least some of the stuff without going into way too much detail. And I've ranted about plenty of this stuff before, so I'm going to try to keep the shit brief. But there are some things that AEW either has done badly or needs to iron out or needs to eliminate in total. I mean, and again, just my opinion. Please let me know what you guys have to say in the comments. So, let's start off with the big one. The dumpster fire that is the booking of the AEW women's division. It has been a goddamn dumpster fire. Shida versus Thunder Rosa actually was fucking terrific. The video packages they did, and I thought the match was pretty good. And Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb just before the pay-per-view for All Out, the one highlight of All Out, was actually pretty damn good. I like Thunder Rosa. I think she's fan-fucking-tastic. I think her and Shida crafted a really good match, and I think Thunder Rosa, depending on how this NWA situation works out, should be signed by AEW. Because she is fucking great. I mean, she's got her own thing that she's doing as far as, working with smaller promotions and stuff like that and doing some really good stuff. But I just think for her hard work, the dedication she has, she should be signed by AEW. But that being said, they had Riho as the first champion. Look, bless Riho. She's not bad in the ring. She's not. And they dealt her a bad hand by having her be the first champion. It should have been Nyla Rose, and then Shida should have taken it off of her. Because Riho wasn't believable as the first champion. Here's why. They tried to create a Gail Kim Awesome Kong situation or a Alundra Blaze Bull Nakano situation without realizing that you need, even talent on both sides. Now, Nyla Rose is not the best wrestler in the world. She's not even one of the best monster heels in the world. But she's improving. She is pretty damn good. And the fact that she just got beat for a while, and then Riho beats her and, wins the championship, it's fucking bullshit. Here's why it's fucking bullshit. Because she shouldn't have been champion. At all. She would have been better off in Stardom, and it's not that people didn't like her. I thought her theme was a freaking bop, it was pretty fun, and she's good enough in the ring. She can do some good shit. It just wasn't believable because she's like 85 pounds. And I hate to pull the weight thing, but seriously, we're supposed to believe she can beat Nyla Rose. We're supposed to fucking believe that. I didn't fucking believe it. Did you believe it? No. Well, I mean, if you did, cool. I'm not knocking you guys. But outside of that, sometimes on Dynamite, and they will not feature the women at all, or they feature them in like a 4-minute match. Dark, they might feature 1 or 2 women's matches. I think one recently had 3, and that was out of 13 matches. I'm not saying it needs to be 50-50. I'm not saying it needs to be like, say, if they have 6 matches on Dark, they need to have 3 and 3. I'm not saying that. But what I said earlier in the video about the highs, you got women like Kylan King, Skylar Moore, and others. Red Velvet's somebody they could sign. They could have fixed all these problems with their women's division. One, by having somebody competent running it, because apparently it was Kenny Omega. Maybe it still is. I don't know. If Brandi had nothing to do with the women's division, could have fooled me because she was all over the goddamn thing. Allie has felt like a goddamn afterthought. The women's tag tournament was not any good at all. Ty Conte, they did sign her, and I like her and think that she actually can do some really, really good things. But really, they're going to need to shore up their women's talent, and they're going to need to put more emphasis on it. Do they need to put an entire hour dedicated to women? No. They don't need to do that. But if you're only going to feature women in mostly comedy spots and you're going to barely feature your champion at all, nobody's going to be able to fucking take it seriously. And that's the big problem with the women's division. They started badly by having Riho be the first champion. And even though there's nothing wrong with her and it's not her fault, it was a bad idea. It didn't fucking work. It was a fucking terrible idea. Because it started them off at the wrong position. It started them off looking low tier. Like, okay, we're just going to have nepotism run through. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And speaking of nepotism, Cody's nepotism project, Brandi Rhodes. I'm going to say right now, before I really get into what could end up turning into a scathing rant, that she does not deserve the sexism or the racism that gets thrown at her. Especially the fucking racism. That's fucking bullshit. You guys can knock her as a performer all you damn well want. And the fact that she doesn't exactly come across as a very nice person on Twitter. I would argue she comes across as fucking disingenuous. Even the people that have either constructive criticism or don't even tag her and stuff. But let's just look at Brandi Rhodes. Brandi Rhodes is the worst part of Stephanie McMahon's character. Worst parts, that is. Because at least Stephanie, and credit, by the way, to I'm Valena on Twitter for this. Because we were chatting about this before I decided to do these videos. That this is that at least Stephanie was born into this stuff. And no, Stephanie may not have the mind for it, but at least she was born into it and raised around it and stuff like that. Brandi, bless her, and would say the same thing if it was Cody, and Brandi was a talent, married her way into wrestling. There is no way that she would have been anywhere near wrestling outside of maybe being a ring announcer like she was in WWE, because she doesn't have the charisma to do anything else. The Nightmare Collective was fucking bad. They ended that months ago. Good for them. Mel's another person they should feature, but now they just decide, hey, if we have somebody statuesque that looks like they could kick your ass, yeah, let's put her on Dark. Or let's put her in a women's tournament match, and women's tag tournament match, and just have her beat. That's a great fucking idea. What a great fucking idea. No, it wasn't a great fucking idea. And Brandi, I know what they're trying to do with Brandi. They're trying to make it where it's like, okay, Brandi, gets a little bit too much of a swelled head and everything because because Cody is an executive vice president, so she feels like she can just run like crazy and everything. But they flip-flopped her from face to heel so much. Think about this. Now, I didn't like the end where they had the Dark Order lay out the Nightmare Family, but if there had been a full crowd when Anna Jay locked the choke on Brandi, that would have been the biggest pop of the goddamn year, because people hate Brandi. They hate Brandi on TV. And I don't blame them, because I hate Brandi on TV. I can't fucking stand her on TV because she's a charisma vacuum. She can't fucking work at all. Oh, she can throw a spear. Yeah, if you give her about 14 years to line up the spear and hit it, yeah, she recovered from a broken collarbone. And credit to her, I'm glad she's healed. And maybe she's trying to do some good things behind the scenes. The AEW heels thing, yeah, that is what it is. But, hey, it's a safe place for women wrestling fans, which, by the way, women wrestling fans should feel safe anyway. It shouldn't, be anything about gender. We're all wrestling fans. That's really what it fucking comes down to. But Brandi is one of the worst examples of nepotism in wrestling. She can't fucking do anything. She sucks on the goddamn mic. She is so fucking bad. Whenever she's on TV, I literally zone out. I mean, I have to pay attention to write down notes and everything, whether I'm watching Dynamite live or on DVR, or whether I'm watching AEW Dark after work, or whether she's on any of the pay-per-views. She had a match, what was it, against Allie on one of the pay-per-views. Was it Fight for the Fallen? It was Fight for the Fallen. You know how good that was? It wasn't. You know how good Brandi is in the ring? She isn't. Brandi Rhodes is a fucking dumpster fire of a wrestler and as an on-air talent. Watching her trying to actually act is fucking embarrassing. It's really fucking embarrassing. It's one thing for me or any wrestling fan to shoot a video on their phone or on their computer and do this kind of shit and do the same stuff. But guess what? Brandi Rhodes is an example of like the most vile type of nepotism, where it's like she knows she's not well liked. And sure, some of the hate and some of the stuff does go way too far. But as far as the criticisms of her being a bad wrestler, a bad promo, and a bad character on TV, those are perfectly fucking valid. She is one of the few dark spots and one of the few anchors that is, actually one of the few albatrosses that is dragging Dynamite down and dragging the AEW product down. Now, saying fire her. Obviously, she wouldn't be, because Cody wouldn't be very happy. Just keep her off of TV. Like, seriously. The Nightmare Sisters thing has been fucking shit. I have no desire to see Anna Jay versus Brandi, which may have already happened by the time you guys watch this. Who the fuck knows? But I have no fucking desire to see this. And I bet you at Full Gear, this is just a prediction right now, since we're just a couple months out from Full Gear, about 7 weeks. We're going to get the Nightmare Family, and we're going to get Anna Jay on one side of the Dark Order, and then we're going to have Brandi on the other side, and we're going to have Brandi pin Anna Jay to, win the match there. Cody's going to make his return, and we're going to have that. Or they're just going to take the same match that they had at All Out and add the women, and then it's going to make it infinitely worse, because Anna Jay, while good, is green, and Brandi Rhodes can't work with anybody, because, as I mentioned, Brandi Rhodes fucking sucks in the goddamn ring. She makes Sable seem like Mildred Burke. I mean, and Sable couldn't work a goddamn lick at all. And Sable probably wouldn't have come back from an injury. But fucking hell, at least Sable knew her place and knew when the fuck to get out of wrestling. Brandi doesn't know that she needs to get the fuck out of, or at least off of, a wrestling program. She wants to be behind the scenes. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. But that's enough about Brandi. Yeah, Cody's nepotism project. In fact, that's her new nickname now. Until she justifies her position in the company, which she won't, she is Cody's nepotism project. The Dark Order. I ran about the Dark Order plenty, okay? I know that they are on Being the Elite, and they're apparently trying to build a storyline with John Silver and Brodie Lee. And cool, okay, I don't watch Being the Elite. I'm not going to fault anybody that does. I don't have the time to do it. Brodie Lee also, signing him. I thought it was going to be a good idea. And then he was the He's the exalted one of the Dark Order. And let me tell you right now, I thought, okay, you know what, this might work. Because the Dark Order has been one of the worst things about AEW programming. Absolutely one of the worst. And not even anything against the talent. Nothing against people in the ring. Grayson and Evil Uno were fine as a team. Grayson's clearly the more breakout single star. But you know what, they aren't bad. None of the talents are necessarily bad in the ring. Well, I mean, except, when they have the random gimp guys. The guys in the gimp mask show up. They're not even it's like, okay, they're untrained guys that they just put out there as a bad idea. But the concept of the Dark Order, it went from medieval cult to now this. Okay, it's stupid. To me, it's stupid. Putting Anna Jay in it is not a very good idea because to me, it's not really giving her star power. It's just, we're going to give her a gimmick. And it's almost kind of like, putting the gobbledygooker outfit on Hector Guerrero. And that was a really bad idea. Not that Hector Guerrero would have been much of anything in WWE. Especially at that point because he'd been wrestling a while. But fuck, so bad. But yeah, Brodie Lee is one of the worst signings that they've had. He's just not interesting to me. I don't find him necessarily interesting. I don't think that he is somebody that, is worth really investing in long term. I'm not saying fire the guy, but for all the praise that people were giving him in WWE, myself included, that all evaporated. I really don't give a shit what happens to Brodie. He is boring Brodie Lee. He really is. Now, does that mean that he can't turn this around? Who the fuck knows? But as TNT champion, I wasn't even as interested in the TNT championship when it first happened, and the TNT Open Challenge kind of made it work. And now Brodie, it's like Brodie just doesn't come across as intimidating to me. He just doesn't. The Dark Order comes across as goofy. Comes across as very goofy. Marco Stunt. Why is he a wrestler? That's just all I gotta ask. He should not be a wrestler. You want to use him as a mascot for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, fine. He should not be a wrestler. It's fucking embarrassing. Joey Janela is really not a wrestler. Yeah, sure, okay, Sonny Kiss is getting some more TV time and carrying that team because Joey Janela is also bloody fucking rotten in the ring. Joey Janela can't do shit. Rio is first champ. I already talked about that right there. Here's a big one, JR's commentary. Taking out the Anna Jay comment, I pass it on to the women wrestling fans. If you were offended, please sound off and let me know. It was a stupid line to say. But JR totally checked out. Besides Cody versus Dustin, he's totally checked out at least 90% of it. Now, I'm not saying that AEW has always had the best in-ring product. Some of it is, some guys that are green or some girls that are green. But especially the way he shits on the women's division. JR, just admit that you hate women and you only love it, or you hate women's wrestling, and you only love hitting on the younger women on Twitter. Good God, horny JR, good fucking Lord. But yeah, JR's commentary is fucking ridiculous and fucking abhorrent. He was one of the best commentators of all time. Was. Emphasis on was. I know he's had health issues. I know he lost his wife a few years ago. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care anymore. That sympathy has evaporated. I feel bad for the man for what he's dealt with personally. But as far as his in-ring or as his on-camera work, he is fucking bad. His podcast isn't even all that good. Even though he's got some good stories because he's been around for a long goddamn time. But it has been time for JR to go since about 2010. He was first slowly getting rid of his, legacy, and now he's totally torpedoed it. JR's legacy is fucking done. JR has ruined his legacy as far as I'm concerned. And again, taking out the Anna Jay line. Just taking that out. And I'm not excusing it. It was fucking stupid for him to say. Joke or not, it was fucking dumb. But good God, JR, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you there? Oh, wait, because he's getting paid. Well, great, JR. Then act like you give a goddamn... Not that JR's going to watch this, but act like you give a goddamn shit. Because if you don't care, all you're doing is, slapping fans like me in the face. And you're slapping the wrestlers in the face by not taking them seriously. Sure, some wrestlers aren't all that good. But good God, JR, at least act like you care. Because if you don't care, why the hell is a new viewer going to care? Why the hell are most of the viewers going to care? Oh, this lead commentator has been around in wrestling since Bill Watts was still an active wrestler and everything, and all Mid-South and, all the places that he's worked at and everything, and Jim Crockett Promotions, WCW, WWE for a long time, Smoky Mountain Wrestling during one of his sabbaticals, his health issues, all the stuff he's gone through. Sure, okay, he has been through a whole lot. But that still is no excuse for the fact he doesn't give a flying fuck about AEW. And even with his stuff in New Japan, listen to the American commentary he did for people in New Japan. About some of the people in New Japan. He didn't care about Tetsuya Naito. He didn't care about learning the names. Yes, maybe he didn't really know a ton of them, but it didn't even seem like he tried to learn any of them. Josh Barnett, I believe, was his commentator, for a bit. And Barnett was the one that was having to pick up the goddamn slack. And Barnett's a good commentator for what he is. But for a lead American commentator, JR, that's the best he can fucking do. JR is fucking embarrassing as a commentator now. And he needs to fucking go. He needs to fucking go. That's all. He needs to fucking go. Chris Jericho, the last 6 months, the Orange Cassidy feud in particular, the stuff with the drone I actually found kind of amusing, even though it wasn't great. But since losing the championship, I didn't care about the Orange Cassidy feud, and I don't really care for the Orange Cassidy character, but some people like him, that's fine. Jericho, to me, especially with some of the outside stuff he's been doing, has torpedoed his legacy more and more and more. And I don't understand why the fuck Chris Jericho is even still cashing these checks. I mean, he's apparently signed a 3-year deal, that is. Okay, I understand why he's cashing the checks. But I don't understand why he thinks that he's adding anything to his legacy. He's just peeling layers away. He's not doing anything good anymore. He looks horribly out of shape. I mean, he looks like fucking shit. He needs to wear a shirt. It's one thing for me to, just walk around not wearing a shirt. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not a wrestler. I don't even play one on TV. I'm just a wrestling fan. But I can tell that his cardio's done. He's been wrestling since 1990. Yeah, he's had brief sabbaticals and stuff like that, but his stuff in New Japan at first wasn't that bad. A match against Omega, and then from there, it's been a law of diminishing returns. Same with his stuff in AEW. His stuff as champion was good. His stuff with Orange Cassidy and everything, the Mimosa Mayhem match and a whole bunch of other stuff, has not really been all that good. His time on commentary was interesting at first when he just kept shouting, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. Stadium Stampede, said in my opinion, one of the worst cinematic matches I've seen, and WWE's done some real shit cinematic matches. Now, Stadium Stampede wasn't as bad as the Tooth and Nail match. They really should have just gone full DBZ abridged or whatever. Reba saying, "Britt, ma'am, we have another patient here." "Oh, tell me you didn't let her inside, Swole." "Hello." "Oh, god damn it." If you get that DBZ abridged joke, I love you guys. Honestly, though, the Tooth and Nail match, Stadium Stampede match were low points. They were not very good. They really weren't. Stadium Stampede, it went on too long. I understood what they were trying to do. They were having some fun, and okay. Sure, it might have been entertaining for a bit, but it went on forever. It felt like it went on for about 45 minutes. Signing so many ex-WWE talents, yes, I mentioned that signing certain ones were not that bad, but say, bland ones like Hager. Jake Hager, he was interesting for about a minute? Maybe 2-3 episodes, if you really want to be honest. Since then, his theme doesn't fit him at all. I don't know why the fuck he has that. And Hager really isn't all that interesting. Yeah, maybe a legit athlete. He's also as bland as white bread, and his wife's a goddamn real doll. And then the former Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, who's not bad. Matt Cardona's not bad in the ring, but also he's going to fall into the Shawn Spears spot. Shawn Spears. After that feud with Cody, they've had him with Tully as his manager, and he's had the loaded glove and everything, and he just fists his opponents afterwards. Shawn Spears, good talent. Good talent. Don't get me wrong. These, 2 of those talents are pretty damn good. But they're just going to be low-level jobbers. That's all they're going to fucking be. And I know Matt Cardona apparently doesn't like the term jobber. Well, that's kind of what he was in WWE. Whether he deserved to be that or not is another story. But they signed so many other people, and they've signed some others that really should not be, wrestlers. But I've talked about them before. That Matt Hardy spot at All Out, that was fucking bullshit. Matt Hardy should have been stopped from competing. No fucking way he should have kept competing. It was fucking stupid. Matt Hardy should have not been allowed to continue that match. And the fact that they tried to justify it, he didn't have a concussion. Yeah, he fucking did. He had some kind of fucking head injury if he didn't have a concussion, because he couldn't stand, he couldn't move, and they went right to the goddamn finish. They're trying to cover their goddamn asses when AEW's done a pretty good job with that stuff, even though they've done some chair spots and everything and some questionable stuff. They did that with Matt Hardy, and a lot of that goodwill evaporated. AEW diehards were fucking saying it was fucking stupid. And yeah, you can point out that WWE did stupid shit like this. AEW is supposed to be an alternative. It's not supposed to be alternative WWE. And the fact that they did that stuff, continuing that, it was dumb. Just call off the match and have it happen when Matt is healthy. But that really didn't do good. Lucha Bros booking. The Lucha Bros, Penta and Phoenix. I just call him Pentagon Jr., even though I know he lost the rights to that name. But Penta and Phoenix, they're great singles wrestlers. They're great. They're a great tag team. They have not been used all that well in the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 months in AEW. Now, they have been used good on occasion, and they are very, very good as far as their tag team work, even though Lucha Wrestling at times is not necessarily my favorite. But the Lucha Bros are not a great. They're not great, I think, for mainstream American audiences, unless you actually give them some quality wins, and they haven't, and it's just fucking dragged the show down whenever they're on, because you think, okay, they're going to lose. Oh, they win, but they only beat this team. I mean, if they've been beaten into fucking powder, so they're going to have to go away for a bit to make sure that they're, that maybe they can be rebranded and everything. That teaming with Pac, it's just unfortunate the pandemic happened at the time, because it seemed like that trio could have worked. And here's the last one. Omega being exposed as decent to good at his best, but not the greatest wrestler ever. I look forward to the amount of hate that I'll get. Mind you, wrestling is subjective. I don't think that Kenny Omega is the best wrestler ever. I definitely don't think he's the best wrestler going today. That's Okada. Okada made Omega. Omega's had good matches. He's had even great matches. Some of the matches he had in the G1, that war against Ishii, 22 minutes in the 2018 G1 was fucking great. He has had good matches. But guess what? He is not the elite talent that everybody thinks he is, in my opinion. I don't see it. Other people may see it. And you may disagree. And you may say that I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible wrestling fan. And I don't understand. I think he's a terrible wrestler. I don't think he's terrible. I just think that without the right opponent, especially Okada, he is going to be seen as somebody that can be good, but isn't great. Now, he did have that match with Pac, that 30-man Iron Man match, and he did have that match with, teaming with Paige against the Bucks at Revolution, and can put on good performances. But Omega is not the best, and sorry, I don't see it. I do not fucking see with Omega. He is not the guy that is going to lead AEW. He is a guy that can help AEW to an extent, but he is not going to be somebody that's going to push them, into the fucking stratosphere, because he doesn't have Okada, and he doesn't have opponents to help lead him and stop him from doing all the goofy stuff that he does. So, that's really it right there. I could go on and on. I could have gone on and on about the highs one, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charm Retlin. I'll see you soon.